Welcome back. My name is Deanne. I'm going to continue reading the Player's Handbook 2024. We are on page 14 at the end where it says equipment proficiencies. So, a character gains proficiency with various weapons and tools from their class and background. There are two categories of equipment proficiency. Weapons. Anyone can wield a weapon, but proficiency makes you better at wielding it. If you have proficiency with a weapon, you add your proficiency bonus to attack rolls you make with it. Tools. If you have proficiency with a tool, you can add your proficiency bonus to any ability check you make that uses the tool. If you have proficiency in a skill that's also used with that check, you add advantage on the check too. This means you can benefit from both the skill proficiency and the tool proficiency on the ability check. Actions. When you do something other than moving or communicating, you typically take an action. The action table lists the game's main actions, which are defined in more detail in the rules glossary. So here is the actions table. Attack. Attack with a weapon or unarmed strike. Dash. For the rest of the turn, you give yourself extra movement equal to your speed. Disengage. Your movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks for the rest of the turn. Dodge. Until the start of your next turn, attack rolls against you have disadvantage and you make a dexterity saving throws with advantage. You lose this benefit if you have the incapacitated condition or if your speed is 0. Help. Help another creature's ability check or check roll or administer first aid. Hide. Make a dexterity stealth check. Influence. Make a charisma, deception, intimidation, performance, or persuasion, or wisdom animal handling check to alter a creature's attitude. Magic. Cast a spell, use a magic item, or use a magical feature. Ready. Prepare to take an action in response to a trigger you define. Search. Make a wisdom, insight, medicine, perception, or survival check. Study. Make an intelligence, arcana, history, investigation, nature, or religion check. Utilize. Use a non-magical item. Player characters and monsters can also do things not covered by these actions. Many class features and other abilities provide additional action options, and you can improve other actions. When you describe an action not detailed elsewhere in the rules, the Dungeon Master tells you whether that action is possible and what kind of D20 test you need to make it, if any. One thing at a time. The game uses actions to govern how much you can do in one time. You can take only one action at a time. This principle is most important in combat as explained in the combat later in this chapter. Oh, by the way, we are on page 15 now. Action can come up in other situations. 2. In a social interaction, you can try to influence a creature or use a search action to read the creature's body language. But you can't do both at the same time. And when you're exploring a dungeon, you can't simultaneously use the search action to look for traps and use the help action to aid another character who's trying to open a stuck door with the utilize action. Bonus actions. Various class features, spells, and other abilities let you take an additional action on your turn called a bonus action. The cunning action feature, for example, allows a rogue to use a bonus action. You can take a bonus action only when a special ability or spell or another feature of the game states that you can do something as a bonus action. You otherwise don't have a bonus action to take. You can take only one bonus action on your turn, so you must choose which bonus action to use if you have more than one available. You choose when to take a bonus action during your turn unless the bonus action's timing is specified. Anything that deprives you of your ability to take actions also prevents you from taking a bonus action. Very important. Reactions. Certain special abilities, spells, and situations allow you to take a special action called a reaction. A reaction is an instant response to a trigger of some kind, which can occur on your turn or someone else's. The opportunity tag, described later in this chapter, is the most common type of reaction. When you take a reaction, you can't take another one until the start of your next turn. If the reaction interrupts another creature's turn, that creature can communicate its turn right after the reaction. In terms of timing, a reaction takes place immediately after its trigger, unless the reaction's description says otherwise. Box text. What would your character do? Ask yourself as you play, what would my character do? Playing a role involves some amount of getting into another person's head and understanding what motivates them and how those motivations translate into action. In D&D, those actions unfold against the backdrop of a fantastical world full of situations we can only imagine. How does your character react in those situations? This advice comes from one of the most important caveats. Avoid character choices that ruin the fun of other players and the DM. Choose actions that delight you and your friends. Social interaction. During their adventure, player characters meet many different people and face some monsters that would rather talk than fight. In those situations, it's time for social interaction, which takes place in many forms. For example, you might try to convince a burglar to confess to a wrongdoing or trying to flatter a guard. The dungeon master assumes the roles of many non-player characters who are participating. An NPC's attitude towards your character is friendly, indifferent, or hostile, as defined in the rules glossary. Friendly NPCs are predisposed to help, and hostile ones are inclined to hinder. Social interactions progress in two ways through role-playing and ability checks. Role-playing. Role-playing is literally the act of playing out a role. In this case, it's you as a player determining how your character thinks, acts, and talks. Role-playing is part of every aspect of the game, and it comes to the fore during social interactions. As you role-play, consider whether you prefer an active approach or a deceptive approach, of each which is described in the social interaction example. The DM uses an NPC personality, and your character acts and attitude to ability checks can be key in determining the outcome of social interaction. Your role-playing efforts can alter the NPC's attitude, but it might still be an element of chance if the DM wants dice to play a role in determining the NPC's response to you. In such situations, the DM will typically ask you to take the influence action. Pay attention to your skill proficiencies when thinking on how you will interact with an NPC. Use an approach that relies on your goals' skill proficiencies. For example, if a group needs to trick a guard into letting them into a castle, the rogue who is proficient in deception should lead the discussion. Social interaction example. Okay, this section, players engage in social interaction encounter. You and your group determine how similar scenes play out in your adventures. 4 adventurers, Shreve, Mirabella, and Oro and Gareth, have traveled to the Blood on the Vine Tavern in the grim village of Barovia. Jared, as the DM, this tavern might have been finely appointed once, but it's grown shoddy with the passage of time. A blazing fire in the hearth barely gives any warmth to the room. You see a man behind the counter methodically cleaning glasses. 3 older women huddled together on one table, and a handsome young man sits by himself at a corner table, sipping a glass of wine. He looks up as you enter, but the other people ignore you. "Welcome to Barovia," he says. He holds a coin towards the bartender. "A pitcher for the visitors." A glint of silver catches the surface attention. Maeve, as Mirabella, "Thank you, friend. May we know whom we are indebted?" Jared, "I am Ismark Kanorovich. Though around here I am often called Ismark the Lesser." Russell, as Shreve, "That's unfortunate." Jared, "Indeed. I hope one day to live up to my father's example and rid myself of the title. And so, new friends, who are you?" Amy, as Uro, "I'm Uro." Russell, Shreve. Philip, as Gareth, "My name is Gareth." Maeve, as Mirabella, "I'm called Mirabella. You said your name is Konovich. Are you related to the Konya Androvich, the burgomaster of this town?" Jared, he looks a little surprised. He says, "Kolyonia Inanovich is an esteemed father, yes." Maeve, "Then he's the one who summoned us. I show him the letter and draw us here." Philip, I watch his reaction as he reads it. Jared, he reaches for the letter and pulls back before touching it. "That seal! That's not my father's." Gareth, make a wisdom insight check. Philip, Gareth got 18. Jared, you notice that his mark is trying to conceal his terror. He's afraid to even touch the letter seal. Philip, I ask him what's frightening him. Russell, yeah, whose seal is it? Jared. The devil's rod. Amy. Sounds like a pleasant fellow. Jared. No. He's the vampire lord of Castle Ravenloft, and a plague to my sister. You must help her. Active role playing. Notice throughout the example how Russell and Amy actively role play their characters' behavior. In this active approach, they speak with their characters' voices, like an actor taking on a role. The players might even echo their character's body language. They still need to describe things that can't reasonably be acted out. Descriptive role playing. Notice how Philip describes his character words and actions, drawing on his mental image for his character. He says that what his character does and how his character does it. If this approach is most comfortable for you, keep things in mind. Describe your character's emotions and attitude. Focus on your character's intent and how others might perceive it. Provide as much emphasis as you can, as you feel comfortable with. Don't worry about getting things exactly right. Focus on what your character would do and describe what you see in your mind. Ability checks. Philip's character, Gareth, makes a wisdom insight check to determine whether he reads Ismark's unspoken cues. Wisdom is the ability that measures perceptiveness and intuition. Insight reflects a character's skill at reading others' moods and intentions. The DM set the DC at 15, which Gareth beats. With a successful wisdom insight check, Gareth gleans information that wasn't obvious. It wasn't part of the DM's earlier narration. For more information, see ability scores and proficiency earlier in this chapter and in the search in the rules glossary. There is more of the example play on page 18. That's where we are. Amy. So, Strahd wrote this letter pretending to be the burgomaster, imploring us to go to Barovia to rescue Irina Koviana from a deadly affliction, which is him. Why would he do that? Russell. Why would we want to come here? Why would he want us to come here? Sorry. Maeve. Clearly, he doesn't think we're a threat. Amy. Well, he hasn't met us yet. Jared. He's toying with you. He delights in the destruction of all things good, like my little sister. Philip. Gareth draws closer and compassionately asks Ismark whether his sister has been bitten by the vampire. Jared. Please make a charisma persuasion check to see how well he responds to your pastoral manner. You have advantage because he is friendly. Philip. Good thing. My first roll was a 7, but with advantage. Not much better. Well, 10 plus 5 is 15. Jared. Ismark leans towards you. Gareth, with a suspicious glance at the other people in the tavern, like he's worried they're eavesdropping. He whispers, the devil's Strahd desires to make Irina his latest plaything. Twice he has visited her in the night, using his delivery to secure an invitation into the house, for he can't enter where he is not invited. Twice he has bitten her, yet she still clings to life, but I fear she won't survive yet another visit. Russell. All right, Ismark. You brought us drinks. You told us about the devil's Strahd and your sister. How can we help? Jared. You are too kind. First, I need your help transporting Irina to the town of Lackey. Maeve. Where's Valaki? Jared. It lies in the northwest, and the heart of the valley. As the raven flies, it is less than 10 miles, but the road winds along the hills and woods, and the journey takes at least 5 hours at speed. Russell. And why there? Jared. The town lies beyond the view of Castle Ravenloft. So I hope it's beyond Strahd's spies. And I have heard that Valaki is well defended with wooden palisade and iron gates. Russell. As if such defenses would stop a vampire. Jared. Indeed, but if moving her, we can keep him away from her just a few days. We have time for the second part of our task. Russell. A part where you help us? Jared. Yes, when I help you face the vampire. Box text. Influencing NPCs. Gareth takes the influence action. See Rules Glossary. Which characteristics can take to influence an NPC? It's easier to influence an NPC who is already disposed to help you, such as Ismark is here. Ismark's friendly attitude gives Philip advantage on the roll. In this case, advantage makes the difference between a success and a failure. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I am reading the book for the first time, if you have not noticed. And until next time, I will begin on page 19. See you later. Like and subscribe.